Hello crochet friends, it's me, Jonah, and welcome back to another crochet show and tell on the Caron Fading Shells Crochet Shawl. This shawl is my favorite shawl that I've made so far this year for a multitude of reasons, and here it is. Just by looking at it, you can see the first reason. It's gorgeous, and it just drapes beautifully because of the yarn. And the yarn is the second reason. And the first thing you'll notice about the yarn is the format that it's wound up in. And Yarnspirations has made several yarns that are wound up in this format, which is the O'Go format. And this yarn is called Caron Halo. And it is made up of 71% acrylic, 18% nylon, and 11% polyester. And it has this super soft, coating along the edge of it from all these fibers that just kind of sit atop the yarn from an eyelash yarn that's wrapped around. And then it has this beautiful ombre from the dark color all the way to the light, and it comes in green to a pink, so you know exactly what to expect no matter what shade you get. And then here's a better look at the shawl, and then if I take it down, you'll begin to see how massive it is. It's a huge crochet shawl. And then it comes all the way out to here. And it looks just kind of like the beach with the sand at the edge and then the foamy waves. And then it goes right into the ocean right here with the deepest blue in the center. And then if you come down to the edge, and then right along the edge, I'll show you here, you have a large shell. And I'll show you how to do that as well. That's just done with working chain 1 treble crochets, chain 1 treble crochets, in repeats of 9. And then you're just going to work some chain 1, single crochets, and it's as easy as that. And to get this straight edge along the top that'll naturally want to curve, you'll just have to work 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, treble crochet. And don't worry, if that seems like a mouthful, I'll lead you through that as well. But there's the overview of the shawl, and you can see it as that beautiful drape and just wants to hang down. But in today's crochet tutorial, I'll be using a worsted 4-weight yarn such as Caron Simply Soft or any other worsted weight yarn that has a smooth appearance, because it makes it easier for you to see what I'm doing and for you to be able to see my stitches and follow along. And that way you'll be able to achieve the same results and work and follow along with the Caron Halo yarn when you make your shawl. Now you can truly begin to see how massive this crochet shawl really is. It comes from one end all the way over here, all the way to this side. And then up here, all the way to the point, which is right here. And that's a large crochet shawl. But if you use up all your yarn, your shawl will come out much larger, as mine did. Especially when it drapes down, it'll become even bigger than if you lay it flat and then take your measurement. But if you see, if you go like this and if you took a measurement like this, it would be much bigger. If you blocked it, it would have a much more open stitch pattern. And now you can see how this stitch pattern is going to work. It's going to be comprised of 2 rows by taking first a cluster row and then by working a shell pattern into that cluster row. But we have to begin by working our rows in this first row. So let's do that. We're going to set our shawl aside. And pull out our crochet hook. Zoom in a little bit so you can get the best view. And we're just going to begin by putting a slip knot on our hook. And for a quick overview, there's many different ways of doing that. I'll just do it a quick way that I like to do it when I already have the crochet hook in my hand. I just like to make a loop like this so that I have the yarn coming in front of the strand, and then I just leave that strand there. I pinch these two in an X, and then I just pretend like I'm making my first chain. And then I just pull both of them tight and to the shaft of my crochet hook. And then I pull off some yarn. And now we're going to chain up 4 loosely. So keep your hands nice and loose. And then yarn over, but rotate as you do it. So keep your hook pointing this way so you don't see the hook head right here. And then as you bring the hook around, rotate it the other way so it's pointing down, and then pull it back. So then turn it backwards, and then rotate it this way. So it's turning up and then down. And that's 4. And then we're gonna proceed to slip stitch. So insert your hook into the 4th chain from the hook, and then grab the working yarn and pull through both of those loops. And now you should have a ring, and we're going to be working in to that loop right there, that hole right into that chain. So then we're going to chain up 3 just like we did. And now we're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 5 double crochet, chain 5 3 double crochets. And no, I don't expect you to remember that. I was just giving you a rundown of what we're going to do before we do it. So we already did our chain 3, so now we're going to work our 2 double crochets. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now for our 2nd double crochet. Oh, and if I didn't mention, this chain 3 will count as our double crochet for this first round, and then for all the other rounds, the chain 4 will count as the first treble crochet. And now we're going to chain up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double crochet. Chain up 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. And then work 3 double crochets. And then we're going to turn our work. And now we're going to begin by chaining up 4, which is going to replace our treble crochet. Next up, we're going to work a double crochet and then another double crochet. And then we're going to work a chain 3, and then we're going to work a shell into this chain 5 gap. And the definition of a shell changes and varies from pattern to pattern, but in this pattern it's 3 treble crochets, chain 1, 3 treble crochets. So into this chain 5 gap, and then we're going to proceed to chain 2 and mirror what we did on the other side, which means we're going to have to shell into this chain 5 space, and then chain up 3 and work 2 double crochets, and then in the last stitch we're gonna work a treble crochet, which is yarning over twice, pulling through 2, pulling through 2, and pulling through 2. And then when we turn back, we're going to chain up 4 like I've already done, and work 2 double crochets and then 2 double crochets. And you're going to do that every single row from now on. I'm not even going to have to say that, because you're going to do that every single row. Now this is the row where it gets different and you haven't done this yet before. So you're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. So now you're going to work a double crochet but stop on the last step in this space. So stop before you do the last step. And then repeat that same thing into this spot. And do that one more time. And then pull through all 4 loops. And then chain 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in this center chain 2 space, double crochet, chain 5, double crochet. And then work another cluster stitch here, which is what working these double crochets but not finishing them, and then bringing them together into one stitch at the top bar, and then chain 3, and then treble crochet, and then we're going to chain up 4 and work 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. So then we're going to chain up 3 and work a shell into this first chain 3 space. Chain 1, oh, I got my loop caught. Pull that back out. And continue to treble crochet until you have your shell finished. And then single crochet right into the next shell. Into the next chain 5 loop. And then chain 5. And then single crochet into the next chain 5 space. And then into the center chain 5 group right here, we're going to work like a big shell, which will always be worked into the center from now on. The first the starting off here was just a little different. Like you worked it over 2 chain 5 spaces, now you're just going to work it into 1. Now you're going to chain up 2 to separate them. It's kind of like chaining 1, and then for the other side, you also have to chain 1 too to make it symmetrical, which will result in a chain 2. It's kind of like, it is an interesting way to think of it. You know what's really interesting, and then mimic the other side. So just what you did on this side, do on the other side. So then single crochet down. And then also make sure to get the free written pattern, which will be in the description box down below. And also go on my Instagram page too to go check this out. And there'll be the links to the pattern there too as well. And on Facebook if you're a Facebook person instead, and all my other social media pages as well. Double crochet, and then you're going to treble crochet into that stitch, and that's how you work it. That's how you work this pattern. But what you would do different is I'm going to pull out the actual stitch diagram. But what you would do is you would go in the description box down below and you would get the free written pattern. And I'm going to put extra emphasis on that because that's really important. But here's like all the things you need to know for like the treble crochet, the shell, the cluster, that stuff. You would have to work like the cluster, the chain 5, and then another cluster. But when you work this, you would work like a cluster, a chain 5, a cluster, and then you would work a single crochet, and then you would work a cluster, and then you would work another single crochet. Let's do a row of that first. So let's chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the part where it gets a little bit confusing, and you want to make sure that you don't screw this part up. So you want to chain up 3 again, and then you want to put a cluster into this first slot, and then chain up 5. You're not going to put any like direct single crochets. There's always going to be chain space gaps when you're doing the cluster rows. And then chain 5 and work a cluster into the next chain space. And then chain 5 and work your next cluster. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then work a double crochet here, and then chain up 5, and then you're going to work a cluster, chain 5 cluster, and then you're going to single crochet into the top of that shell, and then cluster here, and then double crochet into those next 2 double crochets, and treble crochet into the last stitch. And that's how you work this pattern. And then you just have to keep repeating those rows of working this into here. You work the shell into the cluster stitch, and then you would work this pattern right here, the big shell that goes into the center right here, and then you would work the single crochet down, and then you would work this smaller shell right into this cluster. Now for the edging. The edging is a separate section. For the edging, what you want to do is you want to work it into this stitch. But as you can see, right now I'm on this stitch. So what I would have to do is work another row of this stitch first. So I'm going to chain up 4, and then 3, and then wrap around for 2, and then I'm going to work my small shells for treble crochets, and you know what's unique about this pattern is normally when I work on my Yarn Inspirations patterns, there's always things that I change or modify, that I don't like about the patterns, or things that I have to do to the patterns, that something that I find in the pattern that just I don't think is suitable or apt, and I fix it or I make it better. And that's what fiber artists do. And this was a pattern that I found that I thought didn't need it, and I think it was probably the first pattern that I found that I didn't change, which I am very happy with. And I absolutely love how it turned out. The colors are beautiful, and the actual, like, the stitch pattern itself, the way it's constructed, is gorgeous. So now you can see how, like, the second shell sits on the prior cluster pattern. And now I'm working my next center shell, I will call it. This is the big one. So chain 1, more treble crochets, and then I'll need to chain 1 again and work one last group of 3. And then I can single crochet directly into this next chain group of 5. And then I'm going to continue working small shells across. And then single crochet into the next chain 5 space. And then I have to work one more small shell. Chain up 3, and then work a treble crochet into the top of the chain 4. And now you can see that this part is done. And now it's time for the edging. So to do that, you have to turn your work and work a treble crochet immediately in to this chain space right here in this small shell. And then chain 1. And then continue working treble crochets and chaining 1 until you have 9 treble crochets. See, so far we have 7, so we need to work 2 more treble crochets. Three, 6, okay, 9. So now we're going to chain 1, and then in this space, And now we're going to work to the next space and repeat that same thing. Except this time, we're just gonna, you have to kind of shift them over a little bit because you're trying to fit nine taller stitches into a chain one space. Let's see. So far we have 8. We gotta put one more. Chain, yep, then we gotta do 9 into the next one. That's 3. 4. And what this does is this like accentuates the last shell, because so far up to this point we've had like smaller shells, and this is going to create like a really big last crochet shell, and that's going to give your shell a lot of drape because it's going to make a heavy last shell, and it's going to kind of weigh it down a little bit but not make it stretch out. Because that's the last thing you want, is your projects to stretch out. So let's just say theoretically, I'm going to turn around now. So if I worked my single crochet from here and I worked my single crochet here and chain 2. You go all the way to the edge and you work, and then you turn around and you work in all the chain spaces. You single crochet, and then you chain 2. And then you chain 2, single crochet in the next space, chain 2, single crochet in the next space, single crochet in the next space, single crochet in the next space, chain 2, and you follow that pattern all the way back. But what I wanted to show you was, once I did that, I wanted to show you how it creates and accentuates a difference between the shells. You can see now, so here was our original border, and how it wants to create like a slight curve in because of the way it's made, and how this shawl wants to open up this way. I'm going to zoom out slightly. And naturally, it's just going to want to open up, and it'll just open up this way. And the rest of it, and then this is going to create it to go all the way up this way, and then the rest of the shells are about this big, but the last and final shell on your shawl is this big. And that's because of this final row right here. And if you wanted to, you could even work enough to make it a lot larger as well. Think about it in this term and work in a double crochet row here or a half double crochet row. There's so many different things you can do. But that's all there is to know about the Caron Fading Shells Crochet Shawl. Just have to work the center piece, which I showed you, this treble crochet all the way down. So don't stop here, work all the way down, and then just slip stitch here, and then just turn and work just that single crochet chain 2 in every single space back across. Just don't skip any spaces. And you can add more or less, just ruffle it, spacing it however you'd like. And if you add more, it'll be more ruffly and bigger. If you add less, it'll be more of a straight border. You can do it however you'd like to your liking. Now that you know how to work rows 1 through 6 of your shawl, as well as the repeat rows, which are rows 7 and 8, and of course the edging rows, which are the rows 9 and 10, I can't wait to see how your shawl will turn out, because there are so many beautiful color combinations which you can do, which of course can involve a neutral color like the brown, or you can put 2 beautiful bright colors of the Caron Colorama Halo together, or you can use any mix and matching yarns that you have in your stash together. You can be so versatile, and that's the amazing part of being a crafter and being a fiber artist. So let your imagination go wild. And make sure to check out my website, jonahhands.com, and subscribe to Jonah's Hands, my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching today's crochet show and tell, and keep an eye out for future videos. Crochet away!